Hello and welcome to Casing the Cover, the show where we talk about the good, the bad, and the stupid of book covers. All the things publishers put on a cover to make you want to read it.
All of our opinions will be based wholly on our own personal biases and the contents of the cover. Wait, scratch that, reverse it.
My name is Mary, and this is my co-host Jen.
Hello!
A little bit about us for all you new listeners. We are a couple of library trolls.
Yes.
We both work at our local library. I've been working in libraries for a few years now and come across my fair share of weird covers that need explaining, which is kind of what prompted me to want to do the show with Miss Jen.
Yes. And while I also am a library troll and have been working at the library for a couple of years now, I am also an author and have a few issues of my own with the publishing industry and how they choose book covers. And I'm not to say that all of them are bad, just there's interesting things that get us there.
Interesting choices.
Yes.
Yeah. So today it's my turn to do a book.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm kind of excited about this one. This is probably the most fun I've had so far. I know we've only done a couple episodes. But so my book today is we've talked about it a little bit leading up to this.
Yes.
This book is called Hot and Badgered. It's by Shelly Laurenston, and as far as I know, this is kind of her thing. She writes a lot of what I would describe as a shapeshifter romance.
Is this her first book?
No.
Okay.
She's written several other series. I've learned it's the first book in this series. This series is called The Honey Badger Chronicles. Yes.
Please describe the cover.
Oh, the cover is bad. Okay, so the cover is an image of a, at least naked from the waist up. It kind of looks like maybe from the waist down too, but they only shoot it from the waist up. This man, very muscly, very bronze kind of a man, short blonde hair, staring wistfully over his shoulder. And in the background, there is what I only imagine could be honey badger fur. Or as his backdrop.
Well, and I'm only saying this because you've already told me a little bit about this. Could it be bear fur?
It might be bear fur, but the coloration makes it kind of look like it's a honey badger.
Okay.
It's kind of like brown and that kind of weird brown and blonde kind of thing.
Okay.
I think it's supposed to be a honey badger fur, and
okay.
If we want to talk about the sequel's cover a little bit, in a little bit, I'll come back to why I think that is, because the sequel does the same thing with its cover.
Okay.
So this, she's a New York Times bestselling author. It's not the first book that she's written, and I think they all technically take place in the same universe.
And what is her name?
Shelly Laurenston.
Okay.
And they're all about people who turn into animals. That's the way I would describe it.
And
so
this is not a nuanced sort of, they don't turn into animals in bed. They actually do turn
They literally turn into animals. Yes. So yes, they just know, and it's very much the culture of the book is all of the characters telling each other what animal they turn into. That is an ongoing thing in the book, which is probably my least favorite element of it.
Is this sort of like telling people what your zodiac sign is?
Kind of. They're always like, oh yeah, well I'm a bear, and that's just how bears are. They do that a lot in this book.
It's zodiac signs. Okay.
All right, so I gotta read you now the description of the book, because so. Obviously, looking at this, first of all, you think sexy man says hot and badgered. You think that the sexy man turns into a badger, right? Sexy man's not a badger.
Okay.
Okay. Let me see where to go. Where to go? I have it. Okay. So here's what they put on the back cover. It's not every day that a beautiful naked woman falls out of the sky and lands face first on grizzly shifter Berg Dunn's hotel balcony. Definitely, they don't usually hop up and demand his best gun. Berg gives the lady a grizzly-sized t-shirt and his cell phone, too, just on style points. And then she's gone, taking his XXXL heart with her. By the time he figures out that she's a honey badger shifter, it's too late. Honey badgers are survivors, brutal, vicious, ill-tempered survivors. Or maybe Charlie Taylor McGilligan is just pissed that her useless father is trying to get them all killed again, and he won't even tell her how. Protecting her little sisters has always been her job, and she's not about to let some pesky giant grizzly protection specialist with a network of every shifter in Manhattan get in her way. They're all there, by the way. Wait, he's trying to help? Why would he want to do that? He's cute enough that she just might let him tag along. That is, if he can keep up. So here's the thing about
There's
this.
a lot to unpack.
There's a lot. So my first impression of this book, the cover, the description, my general perception of romance novels as someone who does not read romance novels. I like romance, but I read books that have a romantic element and are probably fantasy or sci-fi.
Okay.
That's fair. That's what I drift towards, right? This I thought was going to be like erotica.
Right.
Like weird erotica.
Like yiffing.
Because they spell, like, the first sentence is naked woman. And they slip in that XXL heart in there. Like, the way that they...
How many X's again?
Three X's.
3 X's.
Really big heart. Really big bear man heart. It gives you the impression that this is going to be, like, a very erotic, sexually charged novel and also weird changing into animal shit. I was scared to read this book. Like, I will end this, like, terrified that this was going to scar me for life. And even you and I, when we looked at the cover of this book, there was a caveat on the back cover that, like, said the image of the man is from Shutterfly or one of these, not Shutterfly, Shutterstock.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh my god, this man doesn't know what he's gotten himself into. He's just a stock footage model that's been plopped onto this cover.
We all feel for you, stock footage man.
Stock footage man. So yeah, my impression going into this was this is going to be weird, kinky honey badger shit. I don't know what this is. I was pleasantly surprised that's not what it is. So
that's okay. So those of you who are looking for hot erotic animal sex,
you're out of luck.
You're out of luck. Don't read this book.
So I will
cover lies.
I will put as the very first thing is that there are 2 sex scenes in this entire book.
That is not a lot for a romance.
No, I know, and they are explicit, but I would not call this book erotica. I would call this book really messed up family drama book about honey badgers with 2 sex scenes in it.
Yeah, but that's not going to sell.
No, it's not, and that's what fascinates me. So here's what the book is about. Charlie. Charlie is the honey badger. She's the female protagonist. She's the badger, not the man. The man's a bear. I think his name's Berg, right? Did I say that, Berg? I forget. I don't know. Like 3 of them had very similar names. I forgot what their names all were. And she is super protective of her younger sisters. They are actually all half sisters. They all have the same father but different mothers. Charlie is African American. Her sister Stevie is white. Her sister Max is Asian. So they all have 3 different mothers. And they are all different amalgamations of different shifters. So Charlie is badger and wolf. Her sister Stevie is badger and tiger. And her sister Max is full honey badger.
Okay, I just want to say this is hitting all those let's have diversity.
Yes, it is.
Tropes, and that makes me uncomfortable in a book that's like about animal shifting.
So, but here's the thing. So this book, you think it's about sex and shifting. One main character shifts the entire book. So only 2 sex scenes, and the only of the main characters that actually like shifts, and it's like an important plot point, is her sister Stevie, who turns into this weird honey badger tiger thing. So even that, like, there's not in Charlie herself, the honey badger of the title, the main character who's this honey badger, cannot shift. All she can use her claws. She has like claws that come out of her fingers, and she gets like canines.
So she's Wolverine,
basically. Yes, she can't even shift. So the man on the cover is not the badger. He's a bear who, to the best of my knowledge, does not turn into a bear the entire book. He's just really big and burly. The man on the cover does not look like I would imagine Berg, because I imagine him as like a guy that's like twice as tall as the man. The man on the cover is too pretty. He's too like modelly, and then no.
So you're picturing like some big hairy
big guy. And yeah, she's on the run from some guys that are after her father, and the whole book is about her trying to protect her sisters because her father keeps getting involved with all these different mafias and all this stuff, and keeps putting their lives on the line.
Oh, so he knows Connor and his people.
Yes.
Okay.
What do they turn into beagles?
They turn into beagles. Just for everybody to know, is Fat Bob dead yet? It has nothing to do with them turning into beagles.
They turn into beagles with addiction problems. So what happens is Charlie runs into Berg while he's protecting I think he's a Wolverine. And that's the thing, is these entire book they go, this person is this thing, this person is this thing. They're very like tedious about telling you what each person, what shifter family they belong to, even though none of them shift the entire book.
Right. So it's just like, this is their zodiac sign, this is their personality traits.
And they use that to explain. So she makes friends with this guy. He's trying to help her out. He moves her and her sisters into their bear neighborhood, and all of his bear neighbors just steal her baked goods.
Right.
Like, that's the plot of this book, while they're trying to figure out what's going on with her dad, and then this romance forms between the two of them. But also, like, it's mostly a book about family. It's about her and her sisters, and him and his brother and his sister, and how the two families kind of become friends.
Right.
They become friends with all the other bears in the neighborhood. And they go to, like, the special shifter mall where all the tigers are playing hockey, but they're just people who also can do things that they're super whatever because they're shifters. It's more like a fantasy, these people have cool powers thing, than it is weird, like, animal erotica. So it was not at all what I was expecting. The plot's actually pretty good. Like, I will actually defend this was actually a satisfactory story. And, like, I cared about Charlie and I cared about Berg, and their relationship actually kind of unfolded pretty naturally. It wasn't like when I was like, I hate you the first time I meet you, and oh, we love each other anyway. Like, she's kind of cautious of starting a relationship with somebody, but, like, they learn to trust each other very easily, and he cares about her family, and, like, their relationship was viable. Like, this book was not what I thought it would be at all.
So, okay, and you don't have to tell me if this is a total spoiler and it ruins it, but...
Oh, yeah, spoilers, just in case.
Why does she fall out of the sky?
Oh, so totally it's the first thing that happens in the book. They're in a hotel. He's a bodyguard, so him and his brother and his sister, they own, like, a company. They're protecting people. And I don't remember why she's naked, but she's in the hotel room above his, and these guys are coming after her, so she jumps out of her window to get away from them and lands on their balcony.
Like, lands? Like, cat-like lands? Or flop?
I think she lands on her feet, but
okay.
She's also a wolf and a badger, so not very cat-like. And then he helps her and gives her a shirt and a gun, and she doesn't even... The second time they meet, she doesn't know it's him, because apparently she needs glasses, which is a thing that apparently... There's all this weird stuff about how Charlie's a messed up shifter, and, like, her body doesn't work right, even though she's a shifter. And there's, like, this racism about, like, intermixing between different shifter races, and people think she's weird because she's a hybrid, and that's why her genes are all messed up, and it's, like, a lot of that. This is a very, like, world-buildy kind of a book. So, like, I went into this being afraid I'm reading a romance, and I'm not someone that reads romance, but basically it was just a world-building fantasy novel with a romance element in it.
So, okay. So, on this topic of genres, then, we talked last time about the book that I read that it fits in fiction because it doesn't really fit anywhere. This was specifically put in romance, right?
Yes, this was specifically put in romance.
But you're saying it doesn't fit in romance.
Well, and I know why it was put in romance, because the cover is made to make it look like it's very a romance novel. Mm-hmm. At least my perception of a romance novel. Like I said, naked man on the cover... First line of the description is naked woman.
Right.
It's this very sexually charged book cover.
Right.
And there is, attraction between the two main characters throughout the book, but it's not the sexually charged book. You are 3/4 of the way through the book before they get together.
Okay, so do you think that this book cover then betrayed people from finding this book and reading it? Like, do you feel like romance readers would like this book, or should this book have ended up in, like, fantasy?
Again, I don't know. I have a feeling that this got put in romance because maybe her other novels are more romancy.
Okay.
And this is maybe a departure, because I haven't read her other stuff, but she's written, like, sexy wolf and sexy tiger and sexy, like, I have a feeling that maybe those are more erotic. And that because it's the same author and because it's the same world, they shoved her in romance when she was trying to go more like family-focused story, and also there's still some sex in it. But I think this could very easily have been put into fantasy.
And just with the caveat of there is sex.
Yeah, there's sex in it, but like I don't think there's any more sex in it than is in Game of Thrones.
Yeah, okay.
Or is in a lot of other fantasy novels that have a sex scene in them. Like it wasn't, like I said, it wasn't erotica. It wasn't just constant. Like it was pretty mellow, and like it's no more sex scenes than Game of Thrones. I would say that.
Which I mean, Game of Thrones is very, very sexy and also very, very gory.
Yeah.
Like there's
there's a lot of gore in this too. That's the thing is there are more fight scenes in this book than there are sex scenes. There are scenes.
Awesome.
There are scenes where like at one point they get surrounded by a bunch of guys and they just like beat them all up and like shoot them all. The three girls do, and their sister turns into the honey badger tiger thing and like rips their faces off.
Is that visually written well? Like
I don't remember.
Love to read
I don't
that
remember.
Part.
Like the action scenes are decent, but I feel like there's more like fight scenes and action scenes in this book than there were like sex scenes, because it's basically them dealing with these other powerful like shifter family mafias, and like the bear mafias, like we're gonna protect them, and the tiger mafia doesn't want to do it. I don't remember what all the animals are. I don't. I'm not gonna put that out there because there's a lot. But yeah, it was more like it was kind of more of like almost more of an action novel, almost more of a like action fantasy. Like,
did it have more action and good romance scenes than The Chemist?
Oh yeah, yeah. I would say yes. The characters are like I liked this better than I liked The Chemist because the characters make more sense.
Okay.
And the characters are actually really well developed. They're fairly well developed. Charlie is an interesting character. I cared about her. And I guess I'll talk about the sequel now because I've looked into the sequel because I got done with this and I was like, I'd read another one of these because I actually kind of liked it. The sequel is called. Oh, I gotta look it up now because I forget it. So her sister Stevie at the end of the book, they have this.
At the end of Hot and Badgered.
At the end of Hot and Badgered,
Okay.
they have this like artist virtuoso young guy living with them for whatever reason. She's
Plot
like
point.
into his bodyguard, who is also a bear shifter. He turns into a panda, and she thinks that he's cute. And so this is the whole last couple chapters. She's just like, he's so cute. I love him so much. Her sisters are both annoying. So the sequel is called In a Badger Way, which, by the way, the puns are bad.
Are they bad, or would I be happy with them?
No, like the title is a bad pun. In a Badgered Way, that's not a good pun.
That's not a good pun.
Hot and Badgered is not a good pun.
Hot and Badgered's a good pun.
I don't think it's a very good. They're trying really hard.
I like puns.
They basically ran out of all the good Badger puns the first book, and this is supposed to be Chronicles. So the second book is called In a Badger Way. And the cover is the exact same layout. The kind of scrawly cover, or like the font is kind of like, not scrawly, kind of jungly looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of seeing what you were just saying about you think it's badger fur because...
Yes, because the backdrop for the second book is a skinny Asian man who's the panda bear, and the backdrop is tiger fur. Which is what her sister turns into, a badger tiger.
Okay.
So the fur symbolizes the woman in the story, because the second book I looked into it is about her sister and this guy, which is why I haven't picked it up, because I like Charlie and her sisters were annoying. So the way these covers are made is the guy is sexy man right in the cover, and the backdrop alludes to his love interest and the color of her fur, or lack thereof in Charlie's case, because she doesn't turn into a badger. These covers are fucked.
Wow. Okay then. But it is interesting though, because there is clearly a theme then.
Yes.
To these covers, but they're still misleading.
Yes. Oh, very misleading.
Then they got the same cover artist, or it looks like the same cover photoshopist.
Yes.
And the same photo stock kind of images for everything. So is this a book that is one of the bigger publishers, or is this a smaller
Oh, that's
press?
a good question.
Because this is a question that I want to start, like, this is the thing that I'm going to point out, is that sometimes the reason why covers are a certain way is because either that publisher is like, this is the only way we do covers.
Yeah.
And therefore, it doesn't matter what your genre is, you're going to get, like, I noticed there's a big color block down the spine edge with the author's name and the title of the book vertically written. Then you have your image and your background image, and that's what you get. And no matter what your genre is, and no matter what your story is, this is what you get.
Well, what I've seen of her other books too, like the Wolf one, it's like hot, sexy man, wolf faded in the background. The tiger one is like hot, sexy man on one side of the cover, the half a tiger's face on the other side of the cover. They're very like cobbled together, man and beast kind of covers. I'm trying to figure out who the
this is a Photoshop happy, and which I'm gonna guess, and I could be wrong, but I'm gonna guess is a smaller publishing.
This is the audiobook publisher. I'm not good at googling publishers apparently. The audiobook cover too is the no face thing. It's just abs on a black backdrop.
Oh, so it's different.
It's a little different. It's sexy man abs, which is a thing in romance covers right now. I don't know why. We will talk about that at some point.
Upcoming. Us talking about abs. I feel like we need a special guest for this one. You know who I'm talking about. I won't mention.
Oh yeah.
Just in case.
Oh.
So we will probably, I will segue with saying that we will probably have special guests join us every now and again for our shows.
I think we have to.
And I think that if we talk about romance covers, there is a person we have in mind. So if this person is listening, realize we have already pegged you.
We're talking about you.
We're already talking about you, and you know who we are.
I can't figure out who the publisher is, but I don't think it's one of the big publishing houses.
Let's see.
It's probably one of these little ones that does weird supernatural crap.
Weird super. Not that supernatural stuff is always crap.
No, I'm saying the covers.
So, talk a little bit about whether or not you would recommend this book.
Oh, I actually kind of would. I would recommend this to people who like fantasy, can accept that the world in which this takes place is going to be explained to you a lot. Because that was the one thing I didn't really like about this book was they're constantly explaining, well, that's how this person acts because they're this kind of thing. And that's how our world works. And they're doing that for the benefit of the reader, I suppose, to also to maybe do it for people who haven't read her other books. But that was, I think, the thing that bothered me the most. So if you're okay with a little bit of over-explanation of how the world works, and you like kind of weird fantasy action and stuff, it was a good read, and you don't mind a couple sex scenes. But if you're in it for like really animalistic erotica, it's not really what it is. So, which is, if that's what you're into, that's fine. But this book is not that.
So don't be fooled by it.
So
it's Kensington Press is the publisher for it. And I haven't heard of that title.
No, I haven't either.
So it very well could be a smaller romance specific.
Yeah.
Which maybe that's the reason why she's still stuck in romance. I think, though, what this book is really telling you is that don't be afraid to look at other genres.
Yeah.
Because, you are a fantasy reader, you like shapeshifter fantasy, you may be missing out on some neat stuff if you don't go down the romance aisle and say, hey, let's see what romance aisle has shapeshifter fiction. As long as you're an adult and you want to listen to that stuff,
Well, and I think that's part of the beauty of this podcast, and part of the reason why I wanted to do this too was it was a challenge to us to read things that we don't usually read.
Yes.
Because I would not have picked up this book ever in my life if this was just me going, I feel like reading a thing. Because A, I would have been embarrassed to have that book in my hand. And B, I would have been like, that is not what I'm into. And it turned out it was pretty much what I read. It just had a cover that suggested otherwise.
See, and I think we should tell a little bit. Sometimes it's very interesting for us to tell the stories of how we ended up with these books.
Oh.
This particular book literally ended up on everybody's desk.
Yes.
And in everybody's cubicle.
Because we thought it was so funny.
We were harassing people with this book, essentially. We're like, look, and we put it like on on their desk, put it in front of their computer. We would leave it like, hey, this is your next read.
Yes.
You know?
Look at the sexy badger man. He doesn't know he's on this cover.
There's a lot of talking about this cover. So we mocked it really bad. Do we regret mocking it?
No, because the cover's still bad.
The cover is still awful.
The cover is still awful. And what the cover makes it seem like it is still kind of stupid. The description is stupid. It doesn't do the actual story justice. The cover is bad. It doesn't do the book justice. Or the character. This is not the character that's in the book. The man you see on the cover is not that character. He's not this sexy, sweaty, oiled up blonde beach boy.
He's a little more scruffy.
He's more substantial as a character too. So
then to kind of wrap this up, do you feel like you could judge this book by its cover?
No, I judged this book wrong.
No.
I did this book wrong because I thought it was going to be. I thought it was either going to be really stupid, or maybe a parody of itself, or just really awkward and weird and not something that I was going to be into. And it just turned out to be. I think you might be right that maybe she's stuck in the romance genre and she's just writing genuine stories.
Yeah. In
which case, Shelly Laurenston, you wrote a good book, and I'm sorry that I judged it by its bad cover. I apologize to the author because I got this one really wrong.
And to the publisher, shame on you.
Shame on you. Shame.
Shame. Ring the bell. Shame.
Quit putting poor stock boys through this.
Right? And let authors spread their wings, or, I don't know, stretch their badger claws.
Yes.
So, in our next episode, then, we are going to kind of tear into... I'm still on badger things, sorry. We are going to tear into the romance genre and its awful tropes.
Yeah, yes? And the kinds of covers you see in romance, especially now that... Of course, I'm interested to read some of these. They've kind of sub-genred romance, and there's very distinctive, like, what market different romance covers are trying to hit. So we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit, and what the general perceptions of romance are. Obviously, I was proved wrong with some of those today. But, yeah. So that'll be our next episode. In the meantime, please feel free to follow us at all of our socials. We are on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube at Casing the Cover. So please find us there.
And we will hopefully see you also in a couple of months at CocoCon. I'm going to plug that as much as I can.
Yes.
Because it'll be another live episode.
Yes. Another live episode. Hopefully the audio for the original live episode will go up here at some point. But for now, you can watch it on YouTube.
Yay!
Yay! So... And until next time, judge a book by its cover.
No.
Or don't.